What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of In Conversation with.
Thank you so much for having me. That's awesome.
A lot of these artists need the money that comes from touring.
What's going on, everybody? What's going on, everybody? This is Andre, and I'm joined by one of my homies, Aime. What's going on, man? I want to talk about how things are going with you, how your business is doing. Tell me a bit about yourself. Tell me a bit about how you're pivoting, how you're coping, and what's the quarantine been like for you, man?
Yo, what's up? What's up, man? That was a good introduction, my dude. Man, I'm all right, bro. We talked a bunch of times, but I'm in pretty like high spirits, like compared to like what other people are dealing with in these times. Obviously, like business, I mean, for anyone who might be listening, I have a clothing company, a custom menswear company called Self-Made. So like that's slowed down like tremendously, obviously, because you have to like see all your customers in person. So we have to like push back all the deals that we had, everything that we had planned up. But man, I don't know, man. Like we've talked about it before, to where it's like I look at this like differently than other people. I think this is like a setback that's gonna like really set you up. If you use it correctly in a way. And even in business, bro, to be honest, like in business, like we talked about a lot, like last year, I moved here to Toronto last year, right? So even like last year, I felt like everything was happening so fast, like with just catching up to the city, learning how to do business in the city. Just everything was going like 100 miles an hour. And I'm just trying to, figure out how to fit in and everything. And I mean, being an entrepreneur, you're obviously going to make a shit ton of mistakes. So I made a shit ton of mistakes, all that. So when something like this happened, I was like, it was definitely a bummer. But at the same time, it's like, man, like this is the only time ever in history maybe that I may have to like where everything stopped. And it's like, okay, I know the playing ground that I'm playing in. I know who I'm trying to go after. I know what I'm trying to do. There's never going to be a time in history, maybe, possibly, again, where everything's going to be stopped, where I can actually like plan for things, actually structure things and make structures that are going to help me be successful in like the world that we're going to hop right back into. Right. So I think that's like how I'm dealing with it, where it's kind of helped me, I guess, like cope with what's going on right now.
We're in a time right now where we can't run away from anything, right? All of the things, all of the distractions that we had, even work, even going into the office and having the nonsense water cooler conversation about weather or the subway ride, or we don't even have sports. I'm missing everything. The bar, we don't have anything. We don't have the library that we can run to. What are you discovering about yourself? How are you coping with 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, stuck with yourself?
Man, bro, I feel like I keep saying it, but I think I'm actually coping with it pretty decently. Like I'm big on like introspective work. Like at least the last couple of years I've been on it, I'm a big believer that like if you want to change anything else in the outer world, you got to really work on yourself. So even before this happened, I was like really trying to like do that. I was trying to read a little bit more to figure out how to like deal with any trauma that I may have had, any habits or like ways of thinking that I may not be conscious of that I have that dictated my life, but I'm not really conscious of it. So just being as real as I can with myself. And I think that right now is like the only time where like you said, that you have no distractions other than if you're gonna Netflix and binge all day. You have no distractions than to really look at yourself in the mirror. And honestly, like I'm not gonna lie, like some of it is hard. Like some of the stuff that you learn about yourself is some whack stuff that you don't really, it sucks to know about yourself and to learn about yourself, because it's like, it's embarrassing, or it's like dark places about yourself, or like dark traumas or stuff that you have to deal with, but you have to deal with it. If you want to go forward, you have to deal with it. So like the other day, I'll give you an example. The other day I was do you know who Jordan Peterson is?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, so I read one of his books, and sometimes I watch his YouTube videos, but he has this website called understandmyself.com, and it's like $9, but you take a test, like a multiple choice test. It's like 100 or 120 questions, like, and it kind of gives you, it's almost like your horoscope, but based on your like the answers of like your personality. So it gives you like a bunch of the traits like about yourself, and it gives you a huge summary about just how you deal with different situations, or your perception on life, or the way, you know, all the stuff that you may not be conscious of, that this is how you are, and it's based off like how you answered all these questions. And I wanted to do it, and actually, like, I've been reading it a bunch of times just to like be like, damn, like, these are my weaknesses and these are my strengths, and like, how do I, it's not like I'm necessarily going to turn my weaknesses into my strengths completely, but how do I become more and more conscious of my weaknesses, so that they don't have to be weaknesses. It could just possibly just be neutral, where it's like, okay, I'm not really haunted by these anymore, and these are my strengths, so let me maximize these. And I think that's what's going to help you, like, going into the real world again. That, you know, if you want to be successful, or not even just successful in like business or work, but like just successful and happy in your relationships and whatever you're doing, you have to know yourself. So if you're, I mean, I don't know if that's what you mean, like on the deep level, but on the deep level, it's like, man, I think this is a time when you have to like sit back and get to know yourself, because majority of the times you're really distracted by everything that's going on. And I think we distract ourselves. I know I do it all. I did it all the time. I would not try to have a lot of alone time, because sometimes it's hard to face the truths that you need to face about yourself. You know what I mean? It's easier to ignore them. So yeah, I'm not gonna keep blabbering, but that's my two takes on that, bro.
No. I want you to talk. I want to.
So
And yeah, like, especially talking about the strengths and the weaknesses that you have, and
mm,
discovering them, because that is something that I think makes people different than other people. Is that some people will think that they have weaknesses and think that they have strengths, and they won't dive into it and figure out what it is. They'll just, whatever, I'm fine, and then just keep their head under the sand and keep moving forward. But I think that's great. And what's that website again? You said understandyourself.com?
yeah, understandmyself.com.
Understandmyself.com. I'm gonna check that out.
Like, yeah, check it out, bro. It's super easy to do. It's like they tell you to. It's like a 15-minute test. Tell you not to be hungry or depressed or feeling a type of way, or you're gonna be rushed while you're doing it. So you can at least like approach it at a clear mind. Like, this is you approaching it, and then you do it, and yeah, it gives you a report, bro. And it's really cool. And like, to go back on like the strengths and the weaknesses, I think we think about like our strengths and weaknesses in a sense of like, oh, I'm really smart in tech, or I'm like good in like editing. That's one of my strengths, or you know what I mean. And my weakness is that I'm not a good public speaker. You know, like those type of strengths and weaknesses. But these are also like, when you dive in, you figure out like in your personality, how you deal with things, how you perceive things. What are your weaknesses? You know what I mean? Like some of the weaknesses that I found out in there, like it was because it gives you like in like 100 percentile. Like it'll be like you're in the 10th percentile in this category. And this is what this means. So I know like one of my weaknesses, I think I was like maybe in the 40th percentile, like dealing with negative emotions. So like to give you a report, it'd probably be like, yo, you detach a lot when you're dealing with like these certain emotions, right? And like you may never think about like, yo, that's my weaknesses, because like nobody's ever gonna be like, yo, bro, you detach all the time. That's one of your weaknesses. You feel what I'm saying? So it's like you get to know yourself. You know what I mean? You get to know like, damn, this is how I act in situations. And I don't even know that. Like, I just think that this is real life. You know, I just think that this is how life is. But no, these are just like how you're kind of either conditions or like things that you picked up along the way of how to deal with things. But that doesn't mean that this is how you have to deal with things going forward. You feel what I'm saying? So, yeah.
Right. And that's amazing. And I think you're a lot like me in the sense that when you learn something about yourself like that, hey, I detach emotionally when I'm faced with hardship or something that's really difficult. Sit back. You figure out, or I try to at least figure out, where did I learn that? Because behavior is learned.
Yeah.
And detaching was a way that I was a way that I developed coping with something when I was younger, and it worked for me. It kept me in a nice, safe place. So it just became now I'm older and I do it all the time, and it's automatic, and that's what a habit is. Right?
Yeah.
I know you got to go. You got a meeting to run to.
Yeah. I got one more thing to say about the test though too, because I'm gonna do another one this week, like on one of the things that he offers. He's actually, so Jordan Peterson is actually a teacher, a psychology teacher, and an author from here at the University of Toronto, right?
Yeah.
So you check him out. I mean, I'm sure you checked it out, but anybody listening should check him out. But he has another one where it's called selfauthoring.com. Right. And this is actually, I think this is really, I'm going to do it this week. This is really beneficial in a time like this. So this one is like it's like a writing experiment where you're supposed to like, basically, it's almost like doing an autobiography, and you have to write about your past. So you have to deal with a lot of like things from the past, right? You write about the past, and he says like he's like a lot of times like if you ever have memories where you go back at them and you still feel a type of way, that means you're still haunted by them. It's like your soul is still living in those moments, and if you don't deal with it, then you're always going to be trapped in those moments, right? So it's like an experiment to like go back and deal with those situations, and like how did you cope with it, and how has this affected my life, and then also then writing about in the present, like writing in the present, like what's going on right now, what are you coping with right now, whatever. And then there's the future one. Now this is self-authoring in the future. Like now, like what are your ideal, like basically like what is your ideal self? What is your ideal life, right? And so you write something about that, but then you also have to write what is like the worst that can happen if you stick to like the things that are holding you back, right? So you're writing the best case scenario and the worst case scenario if you don't let go of like the things that you know are detrimental to you. So now you know what to run to, and you know what to run away from, if you will.
That's
and I think like in a time like this, when like you have nothing going on, take that time for yourself. It's actually like a huge investment. I mean, I don't know if I'm preaching or whatnot, but like I think this is like a time where you really gotta invest in some shit like that, bro. Because you're gonna go back into the real world again. It's gonna go back on autopilot, and if you don't have any direction, I guess, when you do go back on autopilot, you have no excuse to be like in the future to be like, I'm not happy. You know what I mean? I don't know how I ended up here. You ended up here because you didn't really, I don't want to say care to, but you didn't take the time to like, like plan yourself out, figure yourself out. And this is why I think like, even though it's a lot of bad is going on right now with the corona and everything, and people are losing their lives, people are losing jobs, and I completely understand that. I don't want to downplay that in any way, but I think every curse also has a blessing. So I think that's where the blessings come in on that end, bro.
Appreciate that.
That's where I'll finish off with my preaching.
I have one more thing for you though. I know you got to get going, but 2 minutes, or let's say 30 seconds, elevator pitch. Really quickly, tell me about Self-Made, what it's about, and where we can find you guys.
Oh, for sure. So Self-Made, you can find us at selfmadecouture.com or Self-Made Couture on IG. So Self-Made Couture, we're a custom clothing company. We do custom clothing for men and women, so suits, dress shirts, overcoats, trench coats. But in the big scheme of things, we're just a company. We really believe in everybody being self-made. I guess that's why I was preaching that. I really believe that everybody creates their own reality. I believe everybody's self-made, and for us, we want to push that idea of like being conscious that you're self-made. And for us, that's what we started with clothing, is that we want to build confidence in people. We want you to wear your suit or whatever clothing you're going to get and feel yourself and feel that you have the ability to go take on the world and go create the world that you want to live in. So that's a little bit about Self-Made. And yeah, bro, if you want to check us out, IG, Self-Made Couture, or selfmadecouture.com.
Love it. Appreciate it, man. I love the brand. You guys are doing a great job, and I hope you guys continue to provide the world with trench coats and overcoats. And
hey, we're gonna provide the world with some swagger. That's what we're gonna keep doing.
Nobody says swag anymore. You notice that?
Huh? The
swag left.
You don't have to say anymore now. Now you got to just embody it. That's really what it is.
Swag is it's in you. It's not on you.
Exactly, man. Yo, I appreciate you having me on, man. We always have a really good conversation. So.
Of course, man. Of course. Thank you. Take care.
Yes, sir. But have a good one.